And we are live. This is Mark Gassert, Peachtree Corners, Georgia, and my cohort in crime here, Tom Ginn. Tom, tell us where you're from.
Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
Look at that.
If anybody wants to put that in the chat and spell it, I will send you something free. So go ahead and put in the chat, spell out Oconomowoc without Googling it. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we brought back Jim Skurski of Pillar to Post, back by popular demand, because when we had Jim on the first time, he talked about a lot of things. I'm just going to get into this real quick in regards to the importance of having a home inspection. And it's really kind of fun to deal with Jim. Jim is actually a customer. Jim is using, dare I say, and I'm not embarrassed to say, sales concepts, although this is not what we're talking about here, but it's really kind of cool to have Jim on here, and he's used some of our programs and platforms so he can share with you about what it is that we do, how we do it. But more importantly, Jim's always he's very conscientious, he's very methodical, he's very analytical about things. He's got a varied background, and his certifications, I'll just get into it real quick so we can get into what Jim's all about. He's taken things like the National Home Inspector Exam, American Society for Home Inspectors, the ASHI. He's done various training within Pillar to Post. I know right now he's doing it. He shared that with me as well. Jim's a guy always on the go, and he can tell you anything you want to know about home inspections and really the importance of it. It's kind of neat to have Jim on here. And, he even has downtime. Now, according to this, the last time I'll ask him here, Jim, you like to golf. You do attend, which I'm a big proponent of. Maybe I'll catch you. Atlanta Gladiators games. That's ice hockey, which is a lot of fun. If you like, I call it refreshing violence. And, and then he's a member of the Peachtree Corners Business Association, Photography Club. The guy's a licensed private pilot. Maybe I can hook up with you sometime and go up in the skies, Jim. And maybe we can go see Tom or something like that.
Yeah.
But without further ado, Jim, I'm gonna let you talk about what it is that you do. But before you do, you have something we want to share here, and this is important. Tom, before we begin this, though, could you tell us, because I always do it, I'm on the other end of this, what's the importance of Elevate Your Profits? Why do we do this?
Well, there's so many people that are out there that have the desire to be in business. So we're out here to help that person maybe that's looking to be an entrepreneur, go into business, take their talent, their skill, or passion they have to take it to the marketplace and serve their community. So we're everything from the person's desire to be in business. Those are solopreneurs and entrepreneurs such as Jim, what it takes to win in business. Jim has prepared himself to be successful in the home inspection industry by taking all the courses and certifications, which in the state of Georgia is not a requirement. So he's gone many steps above and beyond to bring that extra value to the market and certification that you're getting what you're paying for, especially when it comes to real estate. The largest investment most people will ever make. You want to make sure that when you buy that property, this is my opinion, because I come from a background of real estate myself, is the largest investment. You want to make sure you're aware of everything in that house, from the roof to the siding, the windows, the mechanicals, all the things, so you know the life expectancy. Every unit, every home has components to have life expectancies, and they do wear out or fail over time. So it's important to be aware. And there's also areas of poor construction, depending how old the home is. Here in Wisconsin, in our community, there's some homes were built over 100 years ago, before even building codes came into the picture. So there's a lot of things we see in foundations. They're rock foundations, mortared together, not brick or mortar or concrete. It's amazing what we see here. But knowing the status of your foundation, make sure that home is going to stand for another 100 years is important. So So that's our platform. Everything from the mindset, what it takes to win a business. Mark, you made a comment earlier that Jim is one of Sales Concepts customers. It's so important to have coaching and mentoring and different programs to help you be more efficient in your business. So I just want to, promote it's how important it is in business to get those resources under your belt, make those investments.
Right.
How you manage your time or how you manage a sales process is going to be critical to your success long term. So without any further ado, we always like to promote our corporate sponsors. So tonight we're going to play a video on what Be Connected is. A 2.5-minute video. It gives you a little overview of the 3 basic ways to use this platform, what it's about. So Mark, you want me to go ahead and roll that out in the chair?
How's that? Here it is. Ready?
Package. Let us show you what is included. When you go live, you will get 90 minutes of duration on every virtual conference you do, included in this package. You can have up to 100 attendees on each virtual conference. You can stream your broadcast on up to 5 different sites at once. Branding yourself is important. You can add a custom background with your logo and branding. You can also add one logo or picture with a call to action button to go to any website you choose in the sidebar. In the free package, you can record and get 3 gigabytes of storage. Package 2, our Pro membership, for $19.95 per month. Let's show you what is included in it. Each broadcast you can go for an unlimited duration. Why let time hold you back? You can have up to 200 attendees join your broadcast. You can broadcast to 5 sites simultaneously at once. You get the same branding as the free package with the addition of adding an extra picture or logo with another call to action button. This level opens a suite of features that is called widgets. The first widget is a website popper that can pop up a website for attendees to interact with. It can be placed on multiple places on the screen. The second widget is media sharing, where you can share pictures, slides, and even videos. The third widget is call to action buttons that can be placed at the top, bottom, sides, or middle of the screen. You can use these for any call to action and send them to any website you wish. The font and button colors are all customizable. The next widget is an ad bar that allows you to add up to 5 call to action buttons. With the 2 buttons on the sidebar, this gives you up to 7 call to actions. You can place the bar on top or at the bottom. The last widget is a countdown timer that you can use to build in a sense of urgency to your offers. Package number 3 is our Platinum membership, and it is our best package. It is $49.95 per month. Let's talk about all the features you get. This package has all the features of the Pro membership, including the widgets, but has some huge benefits. Platinum gives you the availability to broadcast to a larger audience of up to 3,000 attendees. There is no competition that compares to this at our price point. In this package, you also get a massive 100 gigabytes of storage for your recordings. This is included at the low price we offer. Speaking of recordings, we offer the most effective replays on the internet, with your links on the left and hot links in the chat active in the replays. If you refer just 2 people to the platform, your price can drop from $49.95 per month to just $24.95 per month, making this an extreme value to you. Whatever package you choose, let us be the first to welcome you to Be Connected.
And that was very nice.
Just take off the screen share there and we're good.
Good to go. And here we go.
We good?
Yep.
All right. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen,
Well,
to
Mark,
another weekend, another Be Connected show. My name is JR. It's Johnny Reed, but I go by JR in business.
Mark,
I'm
go
your
back to screen share.
Chief Operating Officer, one of the co-founders
turn
here.
it
And
on.
with me today, we have 3.
There we go.
Sorry about that. We were infiltrated by, I'm not quick enough on the draw there, you know. We had another show.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so we just wanted to, this is one of the reasons I do what I do, is this is a resource that Mark and I have been live streaming now for 3 years, I think this month, Mark, right?
Yes.
October, November, 3 years ago, 2020, just before the pandemic situation. But just an opportunity to learn more about how this platform, number one, gives you more benefits and features than your Zoom, your StreamYard, all in one platform, saving hundreds of dollars a year at 1/10 the cost. So We encourage you that if you're doing any streaming, conferencing, sales meetings, webinars, this is by far one of the best platforms that you can use with some of the features that no other platform has. So it's all about you, the entrepreneur of this platform. So don't hesitate to get a hold of Mark or myself. We'd be glad to give you a link to how to register for free. It's not a tryout period. I always like to let people know that. We do an orientation to help you get the foundation set up going, and then ongoing support to how to use this platform more effectively. So we're here to support you. So without any further ado, we've done our bit of promoting our opportunity with Be Connected. But now I want to ask Jim. Welcome, Jim.
Yes. Oh,
thanks for coming back
thank you.
again.
Yes, sir.
Be Connected. So, all right, to elevate your profit.
Good to have you here on Elevate Your Profits, Jim. And
Yes.
see, I have your Pillar to Post link right here. If anybody's interested and wants to know more about what it is you do. But in a nutshell, can you tell us the importance? I mean, everybody says you should get a home inspection. When should you do it? Is it just when you want to sell your house? Or is it like a maintenance program? How do you educate your clientele out there in the marketplace?
Well, in general, I always say anytime's a good time for a home inspection, which basically it started with buyers. So whenever somebody's interested in buying a home, you should get it prior, which is basically there's a period called a due diligence period. And so that's typically when the home inspection is done, but it can be done, at other times as well. But that's probably the majority of the time is for buyers. And right as they're basically put a contract on a house, I would go in and look at all the main systems and structure and record all of the issues that I find and educate that client on the current status of the house. Now that's one case, and that's for buyers. For the sellers, you could do it if you're about to put your home on the market. I could come in and do what's called a pre-listing inspection, and it's essentially the same thing, same concept, but the report would actually go to the seller, and then the seller can review the report and decide, what they want to address and what they can disclose or want to disclose. Obviously, they probably should disclose everything that's found in the report, and that could be in addition to the disclosure. Another time would be like for new construction. There's actually 3 inspections that can be done for new construction. Okay. One is what we call the framing or pre-drywall inspection, which is essentially right when the walls go up. And then you can kind of see inside the walls, like the electric, the plumbing, HVAC vents, things like that. And then the next one would be prior to them moving in, which is called the final inspection. And then one last time for new construction, where typically the builder gives a 1-year warranty. So I could do what's called an 11-month warranty inspection, and I'd come back like a month or 2 before the builder's warranty expires, find anything that's new or with that house, any deficiencies that were discovered since the move-in, and report those, and then basically hand those back to the builder, and so that they can still be fixed and repaired before the warranty expires. So those are typically when home inspection would take place in those scenarios.
Okay.
Okay. So is there a different process on commercial properties? Do you do the same, does the same type of inspections apply for commercial properties?
Yeah,
As well as
so
residential?
these are all that I do right now are residential. I'm actually this weekend I'm taking a class on intro to commercial inspections. So it's slightly different. I mean, obviously you look at the main things, but since it's not a residence, it's probably slightly different, but they look at similar things. I can't really speak into detail because I've never really done a commercial inspection, but they do exist.
Yeah. You know, having the certifications. So if I'm selling my home, there's two ways. If I'm buying, I definitely want to have a inspection just so I know if I get an accepted offer, I know what potential issues might be there to help me negotiate the final price. And being a seller, it also helps me in that negotiation process, what potential costs might be associated with, hey, what it would, you know, if you got to do an HVAC replacement, you know, there's 6 to 10 grand there. So that gives you some leeway on how you negotiate your final, you know, acceptance or whatever. So, because if you don't disclose, I understand here in Wisconsin, I'm from Wisconsin, I had a real estate license here in Wisconsin when I first moved here, is the homeowners got to disclose anything that they know. Let's say they had a leaky foundation or they had a water pipe break or something like that. They've got to disclose all that. And if you don't, you're still on the hook. So what does a home inspection do? Does that mitigate any liability to you on the disclosure side?
Well, I always ask for the disclosure. That way I can always kind of double check. I'm not sure exactly of your question, but I always, if there is one available, typically if the person's lived there, then most of the time there is a disclosure document provided. The ones that I usually don't get one is when it's an investment property, and maybe it's either the lack of the investor or they just, you know, don't want that connection. I don't really know why they wouldn't, but to know more about their property. But again, those are typically the two cases where I can get a disclosure is obviously when the person's selling and not getting one on an investment property. I don't know if I answered your question.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you
Okay.
did.
Okay.
I live in a condominium complex. It's a 3-story building, 18 units in this building. So I sell or I can order an inspection. Do you just inspect the units, mechanicals or that, or do you do an inspection of the let's say the parking garage, the foundation, roof, siding, and all that for that complex? What do you do?
So yeah, if typically it's just for the unit if it's a condo, but if it's like on the 3rd floor, then I'll look at the roof. If I can get access to the other portions of the property, then I will. But typically for, say, a condo, it's typically just for that unit. But again, I'll look at the exterior, I'll look at the roof. That is, if it's on the top floor, if it's next to the garage, or, you know, if I have access, then I'll certainly comment and state the current condition of that.
Yeah.
So condos are a little bit different because you have a lot of units, and so typically we try to keep the scope to just that unit and what's in it. And again, sometimes the mechanicals are in the unit, and sometimes they're not. Say, for example, the furnace or the water heater may be in another common area where I may not have access to it. So I can't really comment on those unless I'm given permission, which is very rare.
Yeah. Well, because I know this here in Wisconsin, our condo association. So if somebody's making an offer on this, the realtors is required to get the condo association or HOA documents and all that, and full disclosure, of course, the budget and how we manage things like that. Because we have an elevator that goes out, that's 70 grand right there, 70 grand just for replacement of the elevator. And that cost would have to be distributed out through all the homeowners through a special assessment, or built it into dues if we haven't budgeted for those long-term expenses. So as a home inspector, if somebody's buying a condo unit, whether it be a side-by-side or a multi-unit condo association type situation, I would encourage, this is my recommendation, and tell me if I'm off base on that, is that you get as much documentation on the entire building as you can, to the common areas, because we got a waiting area with a fireplace and a heater and air conditioning. We have mechanicals throughout the entire building, all the common areas that you're buying. Actually, you have ownership in, and I want to know what's the status of all those common area elements that include the roof, the siding, the foundation or basements, whatever. We got a parking garage. I'd want to know the status of those. What's the maintenance records on elevators? What's life expectancy? Am I looking at coming up another 10 grand and an assessment to cover a new roof? We just did our roof. We had an insurance situation. Our two roofs on our two buildings, two identical buildings, $456,000 to do the roofs. So and if we had to put a new roof on because they've lived their life expenses, that becomes a pretty significant cost down the road. Just because you own a condo doesn't mean you don't have responsibilities to keep the maintenance up. And we share that cost. And as I've been on the board for 9 years now, so I know how important it is managing those. What's the future costs coming up? And your realtor should make sure you get a comprehensive homeowners documents, those type of things, and ask for all the minutes of your board meetings, because we discuss those things as well. So you have a full understanding what you're buying, because you're buying situations that you're not even aware of, like in a single dwelling family. So would that be good advice?
Yes. Oh, yes. Again, I'd say anytime's a good time for a home inspection, and on pretty much I'd say pretty much, but any property that you're going to be investing in, that's a good idea.
Okay. All right. So Jim, how long you been in the home inspection business now?
So I've been in the home inspection business for 3 years now.
Okay. And I was because I'm an entrepreneur. What was the reason you decided to go into home inspection? What was your desire to take on that?
Well, it was
for yourself.
Partly due to COVID, but I just was looking for something else to do that I could use my engineering background and my photography background, and home inspection seemed to be a really good fit for me. So, and it was more of a transferable skill, so that I could, pretty much do it anywhere. Those are the kind of the main reasons why I got into it. Well, that, and also giving back to the community and helping them understand, using my knowledge and from my background to help them, understand homes and properties and the systems and things like that.
Yeah. I couldn't be a home inspector for these two reasons. Number one, you're not going to get me on a roof. So I have to physically get on a ladder, get on a roof, walk around a roof. That's not happening.
Yeah.
It just terrifies me. And my body size, you're not going to get me into a foundation with a crawl space.
Oh, yeah.
Do you crawl around crawl spaces in attic?
Yes, it depends. Again, it's up to me to decide it for my safety and for other people around. So like you said, I do have a ladder, and I also have a pole camera, so I use that 90% of the time. And that's basically how I examine a roof. It's very rare that I do use my ladder. Usually it's for gaining access to an attic, or say if it's a townhouse and it's like a center unit, it's not an end unit, then I will use my ladder and my pole camera to get the best advantage of viewing as much of the roof as possible. So there are times when I kind of use a combination of all my tools, but it's very rare unless it's a really shallow roof, then I won't go on it. And for crawl spaces, again, it has to have enough room. Typically, the size is like 16 by 24, like the opening. But if it's that or less, or I don't feel comfortable going in, then I don't go in. I'll use my pole camera, but I'll usually suit up and go into crawl spaces as far as I possibly can. And then so I can get a good view of everything that's underneath there, like the structure and the plumbing and the foundation and the moisture barrier, all the stuff that should be physically there. I will comment on all the conditions.
Hey, Jim,
Yes, sir.
share with us some of the things you've encountered. I know you did with me one morning. You stepped on something, or
Oh yeah. So this was maybe a couple months ago now. So I was at a new construction inspection. It was a final inspection. And so I was inspecting the exterior, and I actually happened to step on a 3.5-inch deck nail, and it went through my shoe and into my heel. And yeah, it was quite painful, but I kept going with the inspection, finished it, and notified both agents, obviously, to let them know what happened so that they could let the builder know. And then I proceeded to go get a tetanus shot after that.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, anything can happen. A home inspection, even things like that. Let's see, what else can I tell you? But I was going to say that was probably the worst thing, at least that happened to me, physically, lately, I guess, is stepping on a rusty 3.5-inch deck nail that was in the soil. It was, pointed up. It must have had fallen off and got into the mud, and I found it with my foot.
and why don't you share with us, like, everybody thinks, like Tom was talking about, starting your business, doing your thing, like this is a franchise. And those of us on LinkedIn get inundated with franchises to the nth degree. But tell us, do you ever, do people ever cancel on you, Jim?
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they certainly do. And I don't know if you want me to talk about the one recent time where they canceled on me. I guess it was back in July, but But yeah, if you want me to go into more details, I
Well,
can.
no, but with that, like, how does that work? Because normally there's a fee for you to come out and do this, right? So,
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So I have a minimum charge, but it depends also with our three packages. Um, they start at a certain price point and then go up from there based off of the square footage as well as the package that you choose. And then also if there's any additional amenities, meaning like if there's another kitchen with more kitchen appliances, say that it's a single family home with an apartment built in, then I typically will charge a little bit more because there's more appliances to check. Like this past Thursday, I did a duplex, and so there was an extra little bit of upcharge because there were two kitchens and so forth. So
right.
all of that is kind of considered based off of the property type and what kind of appliances and amenities are present on site.
May I ask this question? Typically, what if I was selling my home and the contract is that I pay, that the seller pays for the inspection? What would it cost me to have an inspection done to meet typically?
Averages is about $500 to $700. Again, that's for say like the middle package and for a average size home. But again, depends on if you want added services. Like my added services are mold, radon, water quality. I added a new one, formaldehyde, and another added service like sewer scope. So you can actually add those and you would get a discount if you say you got the middle package or the top of the line package, you would get a discount on those. But roughly, say $600 for a middle package on a 3 to 4,000 square foot house is typically what they would run.
I'm just thinking from how most buyers might be looking at a home inspection. They're looking at the mechanicals, the roof, the siding, the HVAC, and all those things, the appliances.
Yes.
How much emphasis? I know that mold's a big deal.
Mhm.
What do you do? How do you detect mold? Do you have devices that measure mold or that kind of thing?
Yes, sir. So, well, first of all, mold is everywhere. So, um, even if you don't really detect it in your house, it's still there. You may not be as sensitive to it as other people might be. So, if there isn't anything visible, then what I do is do an air sample. So I have a pump that's set for a certain flow rate, and I have these round little discs with a glass slide on them. Essentially, I hook that all up, run it for a period of time, and that essentially captures the air that's around it, and whatever mold is in the air will stick to the glass slide, and then that's those slides. I do actually 3 samples typically if I don't see any visible mold. If I do see visible mold, then I have swabs and tape that I can actually pull the mold off of the surfaces and then submit those. But typically 90% of the time is just getting it from the air. So I'll do uh, an air sample outside as a background, and then I'll do 2 indoor samples, a, a non-complaint area and a complaint area, that is if there is one. Typically I'll do, again, 2 samples inside and 1 outside, send it to the lab, and they will compare the indoor samples with the outdoor sample, and they will tell you, okay, the indoor samples are either less, the same, or more as far as the amount of mold, and then it breaks it down into the different types, whether they're allergenic, toxic, things like that. I don't know how much more detail you want me to go into. I typically, that's kind of where my expertise ends as far as mold. I've looked at enough mold reports to know that any, I guess, quote unquote, normal house will have a slightly elevated measurement of mold inside. And as long as that remains below, a certain level, and the people that are living there aren't complaining, then, your house is most likely fine. But again, mold is everywhere. So,
Well, Jim, I'm going to make this offer to you. You can hire me anytime and have me come into them. I'm very sensitive to mold. I walk into a house or a building that has mold, I immediately start getting runny noses and that kind of thing. I'm very sensitive to mold. So
wow. Okay.
if you ever need a high sensitive tool, I'm available for you. Just
okay, very good. Yes, thank you, Tom. I certainly will take you up on that.
The airfare, it was a thing that'll set back my fee. So.
Oh yes, of course. Right.
But here in Wisconsin, this is a big deal because we have a lot of limestone terrain. Radon. Tell us a little bit about radon and what that is. And
yeah, so radon is
there.
Yeah, so radon is a well, I say it's a gas that's odorless, tasteless, and it's a carcinogen. If it's at a certain level, and the EPA level is what we call 4.0 picoliters per, sorry, it's 4.0 picocuries per liter, and that's essentially a measurement that's taken over 48 hours. And if it's above that, then they recommend, they being EPA and the WHO. The WHO level is actually a little bit lower than the EPA, which is 2.7. But if it's anything above those two levels, then a mitigation system is recommended. And essentially a mitigation system is it's just PVC piping with a fan, an active fan, and it draws all that, I say contaminated air up and over your house, because you tend to find that the level's higher with new construction just because they're better built and they have less air leakage, so those levels tend to be higher. But again, just like mold, radon is typically everywhere. There are certain areas of the country where it's higher than, say, up in the Northeast or the Midwest. Those levels are much higher because they actually categorize them by zones. So like zone 1 is like the Northeast, and then zone 2 would be the Midwest, and I'm here in zone 3. So the levels are less, but they can be still detrimental to your health if you're exposed to them for a very long period of time. And actually 2 weeks ago, I did a radon test where out of all the tests that I've done in the last 3 years, it had the highest average of 13 picocuries per liter. At least in this area, that's pretty high. Now, I don't know how high the levels get in your area, Tom. I'm sure they're probably a little bit higher than that, but I've never run any tests in your area.
It's a pretty big deal. I used to work for a developer, and that was one of the things they did in their building contracts, that they would run, make sure the ventilation, the airflow in the house was appropriate. So they made that part of the agreement for radon testing, and because we have high levels here,
right,
in our geographic area. So
yes,
that's how I knew about radon. And most builders are aware of that in our area, that they have provisions about certifying the house for radon. So
Yeah, I think most of the newer construction, well, I guess I don't know if I've actually seen one that's been, they may accommodate for their spacing or structure for like a system later on, but again, I don't know if the builder actually kind of plans that in their construction. Usually it's afterwards, but again, I've never seen a new construction home have a mitigation system in it. I think it's always been kind of after the fact, but
yeah, our developer made that part of the building because the amount of
Okay.
radon we had in that area.
yeah, I guess again, it depends on the part of the country that you're in, and that would make more sense because if you know you're going to encounter high levels, you might as well build it as part of the structure of the house, and therefore it's just another system that needs to be checked periodically, and it's part of the home inspection too. Like I'll look at what's called a manometer. Essentially, that's the pressure gauge that's used on the radon system, just to see that it is in fact pulling air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've actually come across one or two where if the water level's even, then there's not enough pressure differential, and either there's not the fan isn't pulling enough, or there's a clog somewhere, either on the upside of the fan or the downstream side of the fan. And then you would have a mitigation system come in. Hopefully it would be this, I would definitely call the same company that installed it, and then they'd come and troubleshoot it and figure out, why it's not drawing the air like it should. Because if it's not doing that, then the stagnant radon contaminated air is there and you're inhaling it, and that's a bad thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
Before we got into the mold and radon, what are the couple other things you said you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so the other one that's just as bad as radon, which I found out from a Chinese client, was they do what's called formaldehyde testing, like we do radon testing here. So typically on new construction homes, I say all, but most, if not all, of the new construction materials have formaldehyde in them, like in the adhesive, like for laminated LVP flooring or laminated vinyl plank flooring, carpet, sheetrock. All of that may contain formaldehyde in new constructed homes. And again, it's a carcinogen gas, just like radon. If you inhale it and it's above a certain level, then it's bad. You could actually get lung cancer like you could with radon. So that's another new gas that I test for as part of my added services.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are things that we don't think. We think about the mechanical side or the structural stuff, but the condition the home is creating is so important for our health, and I think that's important for any buyer or seller even to be aware of as well.
Yes, and both of those that I mentioned you don't need to do an inspection for those. I can do those with or without an inspection. So if you have concerns, or if you've had similar issues in the past, then I could come and run those tests just to see where the current levels are. And it always helps to have previous test results to see if it's better, worse, or the same. But again, that's not necessary. It's always just a good, if you have that concern, to always get it tested, whether it's mold, radon, water quality, formaldehyde. And one other new service that I'm offering now is a sewer scope. And again,
Yes.
sewer scopes are like an inspection. Anytime's a good time for a sewer scope. The only time you wouldn't get it is if you had, like, say, a condo or apartment that wasn't on the garden or the ground floor. That's the only time you wouldn't get a sewer scope. But any other time is a good time for a sewer scope. Because I could tell you horror stories from other people in my other networks that they've had to dig up their slab and foundation because they've had plumbing backups, and that's not a place you would want to get to. So that definitely helps, prevent that. It's more like an oil change in a car. It's preventive maintenance. It's just to looking to see what the current state of your sewer or your drain line from your house to the sewer or septic tank, just to see the current conditions so that you don't end up having to spend more money, fixing it. Like, obviously, the only way to, at least in that case that I mentioned, was they had to jackhammer up the foundation to get to the pipe and all that. So again, it's cheap insurance to know the state of all that before it could possibly get worse.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned septic tanks, because here in Wisconsin, if you're not in a city system, we have a lot of septic tanks, a lot of rural homes sitting out on acreage and stuff. So,
okay,
what should somebody know about septic tanks? What's the biggest thing that you say?
The biggest thing I would say for septic tanks is to get it serviced often, and also make sure it's the right size. I'm not a licensed plumber, so I don't actually inspect or service septic tanks, but from the knowledge that I've gathered over the last 3 years is make sure it's the right size, like the leaching field is the right size for the number of bedrooms, and also if you have a garbage disposal. The other thing is to periodically either get it flushed, or they have certain chemicals that you can buy, and you basically put that in the system to make sure that it's cleaned out and it's going to work properly while you're at the property.
Okay. Wonderful.
I'm reading some of the comments on on YouTube channel, some of the things you're talking about. But I am going to ask you a question here. How do you manage all this? It's a double-edged saber, Jim.
Okay, yeah.
You and I have talked about this. We
Yes.
talk about managing our time and our priorities.
Yes.
Because you've got to really be flexible for your customers. And likewise, there's things that hit you from left field that you have no idea is going to come crashing down at you.
Mm-hmm.
I know sometimes I won't give out your number, but if you do text or either call you, we may not get you because you could be in the middle of a home inspection. And so how do you manage things? Are you down to a schedule now or a calendar? What do you use?
Yes. So I do have what's called a CRM, which is the customer relationship manager. And there is a schedule or calendar in there. I try to use one you know, try to use one so that you're not having to look at multiple calendars at one time.
Right.
That would be the best solution. And there are applications that help you pull in appointments and whatnot from other calendars so that you have a primary calendar and you look at that. Although I'm still kind of looking at two, because the one that I use for my inspection and added services schedule is on a different platform, but so I'm down to two calendars. And so obviously I do have periods of time when I am able to do inspections. So I have those times usually allotted unless I've got other things kind of going on. Obviously, if I'm already inspecting, then, or if it's a larger home, then it may take up 2 time slots. But I found that it's better to have stuff scheduled so that I can do more of my business work.
Right.
And kind of work around that. You know, I'll make exceptions depending on, you know, certain things like the agent and the time frame and how large the property is. Then I may shift some things around. But the time management thing is very critical, and not only to, I was going to keep your sanity, but to keep the business going. You know, there's things I can delegate to. Like I do have an office where, you know, if you do call my office number, they will put your inspection on my schedule. So that, you know, I'm not having to do that while I'm at an inspection, or if I'm busy promoting my business or
Right.
trying to grow my business. So it's definitely a balancing act. Like I say, I always say, like spinning plates, you got to keep the plates spinning. So there's a lot of plates that you have to keep spinning, and having a schedule and sticking to it and prioritizing definitely helps with all of that.
Good deal, Jim. I'm proud of you, man, because you
Oh, thank
keep
you.
multiple schedules. The reason I asked that question, Jim had like 3 or 4 schedules, so he's weaning off the multiple schedules. And if you're down to 2, I commend you. You're getting there,
Oh,
man.
thank you. Yes, yes. It is a work in progress, and it is definitely, you have to it helps, obviously, I was gonna say, to have a mentor, and just to help you, you know, keep you accountable to it, and also to kind of get you started on that, and kind of show you the way of, like, here's how you prioritize things, and here's how you color coordinate and organize things. And as long as you keep it more or less in one place, then things, you know, don't get missed.
You know, your Jim, your business is developing business is more about education. What are you doing? And I sort of plant the seed here with Be Connected. Do you do a lot of webinars or seminars or workshops for realtors or homeowners or anything like that?
Typically, I do presentations. Most of the time they've been in person, but I can do, I guess I say webinars, but I can use those type of tools after the inspection to kind of go over the inspection report. Most people, it depends on the person, obviously. Some people are just happy with the phone. Other people like, you know, the technology and webinar, and that's kind of where my other technological offerings can help, like our PTP 360. So, like for example, in one case, I was speaking with a customer, and we were talking about a specific bathroom, and I had actually pulled up the PTP 360 with him online, and we were able to narrow down our discussion, or the I guess not the disagreement, but it helped the discussion, if that makes any sense, to pinpoint the what was in question, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it helped in that regard, meaning it helped better solidify the item in question, and that definitely helps nowadays with all of the video and or pictures and technology that we use. It helps clarify and get to a conclusion with the client so that they can feel confident and better about their homeowner decision. If there's any questions about any other problems or anything like that, that certainly lead to answers.
I do have a question for you. So whether I'm the
Yes.
buyer or the seller or the real estate agent, do a lot of these folks come to you and say, who would you recommend to resolve that issue, whether it be the plumbing, or is there any ethical boundaries that you don't get yourself into? On referral?
Yes, exactly. So typically, yeah, as far as code of ethics, we're not supposed to, say use this person to fix that. Again, that's another, I guess, liability thing that we don't want to cross, a liability line that we don't want to cross. But I do have people that can do those things. Now, we do have, as part of our inspections, we do have what we call, or what's branded as PTP estimates. My inspection report at the end of the inspection goes to this other company. They have vetted contractors that are qualified to do those repairs. Again, we're separated, so it's not the same company, but we work in conjunction with a company that does those type of things. So it's completely optional to the client if they want to, say they need an electrician or a plumber, they can go with those people that have been vetted to do those repairs and get it scheduled. They can use that information as a first quote, or depending if the agent wants to just get the raw numbers, the repair numbers, and then renegotiate back with the seller. It can be used in multiple ways, but any of those scenarios are typically what happens, and that estimates comes with every inspection that I perform.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem. Say, hey, I see my cousin John. He's a great plumber.
Right, exactly. Yes.
You
Yeah,
put yourself in a.
Yes, exactly. We definitely don't cross that line.
Okay, I think that'd be important if the inspector's making recommendations. See, Chuck and his truck company, that would not be not a very good sign of his ethical practices.
Right.
He's got an interest in that outcome one way or the other. So that's how I look at it.
Yes.
Well, Mark, do you have anything else?
Well, that's about it, because we're getting getting to the hour here. I've enjoyed. I always enjoy listening to Jim. Jim can go on,
Oh, I know. I could. I
but
could.
I did put your website down here, Jim. You know, Pillar to
Okay.
Post, and
Yes.
I would tell anybody to give Jim a call. If you don't get him, you'll get the administrative staff that is behind him, and they're very nice. Because I have called a time or two, and the message will get to Jim, and he'll take care of business.
Yes.
Don't freak out if he doesn't respond right away, because he's probably out and about, which
Yes.
I have learned firsthand.
Yes, and that's something that I've learned over time too, is to be better not only with my scheduling but also that as well. So now I have some things in place that will let you know that I'm currently not available, but there's always going to be somebody there to take a message and relay that message to me, and I will, follow that up when I am available to do so.
That's a critical element. I've been in business for myself since '83, and it always blows my mind for people that are in business who don't return calls, don't get back in a reasonable amount of time to the inquiry. To me, that drives me nuts. I don't know. If I don't get responses in what I would consider the end user a reasonable amount of time, I won't use that person. So
Right.
I think that's an important factor, is if you're in business, be responsive to the inquiries or the question or whatever the case may be, because that'll take you a long way. Hey, boy, I tell you what, that company really gets back to me in a timely manner. I think it's a critical thing in any business, is your communications. You set expectations. I can get back to you on your voicemail. I'll be back in touch with you in 48 hours, whatever the case may be. But do what you say you're going to do. I think that's the most important thing of any business,
Right.
is that integrity factor. But that's one of my pet peeves when I talk dealing with other business people that don't respond. It drives me crazy. So, anything else, Mark?
That's all I have. We're pretty much at the top of the hour. We're getting up to 7 o'clock. But Jim, I want to thank you for joining us for your second time. And,
Yes.
and what would you tell people? And this is kind of to piggyback on what we're doing. Like some people that are in PCBA. Why would they want to come on here and do this? I mean, what if they have a business?
Yes.
What would you tell them?
It just helps. Obviously, it helps promote your business. It helps you, tell people about your business, they get to see you in action, like interact with people, communicate, all that kind of stuff. I definitely encourage anybody that's trying to promote their business to do that. I mean, it's another, I guess, marketing avenue, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know for you, it's not always the easiest thing, but you're getting comfortable with it. I think for all of us, it's not always the easiest thing. I know when we go to those meetings in the morning, they make you get up and talk about yourself, which is kind of a pseudonym to Toastmasters and all that other fun stuff. But because I've been involved in that, I know Tom has. And it's good to learn how to communicate. And Tom brought up a great point about being responsive. There's people that are primo at what they do, but they don't always, not as responsive, as you or I would like them to be. You could go to a great restaurant, but if you've got to wait like hours to get to the final entree, man, you're probably not going to go back, So I thought Tom did an excellent job with that. And I just want to say thanks for being here again.
Yeah, Jim, thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And Tom, that's all I have for this evening. With that, I know we still have baseball going on, and I do have something to share. 33-6, Midwestern State University, the Mustangs. They won their game against Oregon. I think it is Oregon State, I believe it is. So they went there on their homecoming to Oregon. They flew a chartered flight to my son's football team, and I was really happy. I got to watch it, and it was kind of cool. So
congratulations.
Yeah, it was. I said, man, you guys they look like champs. Everything kind of came together. In fact, the announcer said, I can't believe this is happening to us in our homecoming. And they just came in there and took care of business. So that was a lot of fun to watch. And that's a Division II school. And I was really, thrilled to watch it, and because we went there in the flesh to see them play at home, and they came up a little short, but each week they keep getting better. And I guess my point to all that is, Jim, is what you're doing. You're getting better and better at what you do. So, I mean, you'll probably be teaching me time management, before it's said and done, man.
Okay.
You're the guy that worked at Microsoft at one time, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yes. Yep.
So.
All right. Well, Jim, thanks a lot for being here. If you ever have questions about home inspections, contact Mark or Jim. Make sure we get linked up so you get those questions answered, because you could probably most of the questions would be answered probably uniform answers no matter where they live. Was that correct? Pretty much.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jim.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, Tom, how do you want to close this out here, sir? Do you have something, or?
Well, do we have any guests next week scheduled?
We may. I've got to get a confirmation on it, and he's a funny person, and he returned from Vietnam, and not that he served over there, but or maybe he has, but I call him not so much a guru, although his virtual selling techniques with his eye goggles, and I'm talking about Jay Jensen. If we can get him, it'll be a lot of fun. And
that'll be a gas. Jay is fun. So
yeah, and he makes the whole deal with selling. He just breaks it down so simplistic.
Well,
that's who we want to get. And
turn on your notifications, see who we're bringing in next week, tag and share. Our whole objective is we never know who this information is going to impact and make a difference in their lives. And Jim, having the type of knowledge that you have, be able to share that with people so they can make prudent decisions on buying and selling their homes is so important. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. Yes, I certainly will.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm done, my friend.
All right. So what do we want to play here on our way out? Do you have something, or should I just replay what we did, or?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that. Play that out. And then when it's over, just stop streaming.
You got it. And with that, that's what we're going to do. Join us next week, same time. And let me pull this up.
Be connected, be seen, be heard, be found.
Absolutely.
You want me to?
I got it. It's
You got it? Okay.
pulling up right now. And well, where'd it go? Gee, Tom, I'm losing it here.
I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Welcome to Be Connected. There are 3 ways to get started with our video conferencing packages. Package 1, our free package. Let us show you what is included. When you go live, you will get 90 minutes of duration on every virtual conference you do, included in this package. You can have up to 100 attendees on each virtual conference. You can stream your broadcast on up to 5 different sites at once. Branding yourself is important. You can add a custom background with your logo and branding. You can also add one logo or picture with a call to action button to go to any website you choose in the sidebar. In the free package, you can record and get 3 gigabytes of storage. Package 2, our Pro membership, for $19.95 per month. Let's show you what is included in it. Each broadcast you can go for an unlimited duration. Why let time hold you back? You can have up to 200 attendees join your broadcast. You can broadcast to 5 sites simultaneously at once. You get the same branding as the free package with the addition of adding an extra picture or logo with another call to action button. This level opens a suite of features that is called widgets. The first widget is a website popper that can pop up a website for attendees to interact with. It can be placed on multiple places on the screen. The second widget is media sharing, where you can share pictures, slides, and even videos. The third widget is call to action buttons that can be placed at the top, bottom, sides, or middle of the screen. You can use these for any call to action and send them to any website you wish. The font and button colors are all customizable. The next widget is an ad bar that allows you to add up to 5 call to action buttons. With the 2 buttons on the sidebar, this gives you up to 7 call to actions. You can place the bar on top or at the bottom. The last widget is a countdown timer that you can use to build in a sense of urgency to your offers. Package number 3 is our Platinum membership, and it is our best package. It is $49.95 per month. Let's talk about all the features you get. This package has all the features of the Pro membership, including the widgets, but has some huge benefits. Platinum gives you the availability to broadcast to a larger audience of up to 3,000 attendees. There is no competition that compares to this at our price point. In this package, you also get a massive 100 gigabytes of storage for your recordings. This is included at the low price we offer. Speaking of recordings, we offer the most effective replays on the internet, with your links on the left and hot links in the chat active in the replays. If you refer just 2 people to the platform, your price can drop from $49.95 per month to just $24.95 per month, making this an extreme value to you. Whatever package you choose, let us be the first to welcome you to Be Connected.
There we are.
Well, thank you.
Everybody. Elevate your profits. Mark, go up to streaming and stop the streaming.
I am doing that right now.
There we go.
Let me do it. I'll try it again here. My button's not